I just want to put this out there that all of this that's happening here pales in comparison to other things that are going on in the world. Like, there are so many other things that are more important that are going on our planet than this. But this is what's been going on. Hello everybody, welcome back to LewDix Aviation. There's no flying in today's video. I'm here to give you an update as to what's going on here behind the scenes at LewDix HQ. Things have not been well, and I'm not going to go into way too much detail, but I think I owe you an explanation as to why you've not seen many videos recently. At the time of recording, it's been like 35 days since I last posted a video, which is weird for me because I usually like to make videos weekly, and that is because this YouTube thing has become a job, and for it to make money I need to consistently put out content. I'll kind of get into that in a minute, but several different things are happening. In truth, things are changing. Firstly, I've been a flight instructor since 2016, so nearly 10 years at this point. Always wanted to be the flight instructor that was fun, that made flying fun for students, and the flight instructor that respected students' time, money, and gave them the best instruction experience possible. I feel like I've been good at it. I feel like I've done the best that I can in the role, but the first thing for this video is to tell you that I no longer want to be a CFI.
You're joking.
I feel like it's time now for me to focus on my own professional development rather than focusing on other people's development through training. In truth, I've lost the passion for it. And it's only taken nearly 10 years for that to happen, because I've, you know, there's been breaks here and there in these 10 years, but I've never really fully stopped it. I've always, you know, gone back to flight instructing and back to helping people because that's what I enjoy doing. But yeah, there's that bombshell. It kind of goes hand in hand with the videos. Since 2015, when I started my channel, I wanted this to be a place where I document my flight training, and then it became something different where I was documenting other people's flight training and documenting a flight instructor trying to make things fun. And that's how the channel has grown. That's why a lot of you that are still watching today are here, because of that type of content. With the realization that flight instruction isn't what I want to do for the rest of my life, that kind of leaves the channel in a weird position. But while we're on the subject of the channel, that has been something that has been weighing on my mind as well. This is a job now. You know, I make money through ad revenue. When you watch the tons of YouTube ads that they put on videos these days, and give creators very little for it, by the way. And then the other way that I make money through YouTube is through sponsorships. So you might have seen my sponsorship with Flying Eyes. I'm a brand ambassador for Flying Eyes. That's my biggest contract that I've ever had, and longest running contracts I've ever had. But I've had other sponsors before as well, and you'll see, you know, sponsored reads in videos here and there, and over the years you've seen more and more of it. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it does start to lose the organic feel to the channel when you're constantly having to push sponsorships, and to keep this as a main source of income, I just have to get sponsorships. And I feel like I'm having to make videos now rather than the way it was before, where I was wanting to make videos for fun and for the love of it. Now it's more of a case of having to make videos to keep the revenue coming. I don't know if that makes sense to you. I've been trying to make sense of all this in my head, you know, for quite some time. So between the YouTube ad revenue and sponsorships, it's quite a volatile thing to rely on. And as I've reduced the amount of flying that I've been doing with students to absolute zero, you know, I'm fully reliant now on YouTube and my sponsorships, mainly through Flying Eyes, to pay the bills. And that is just not a healthy place to be. It's not something that I want for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? If the views are not coming in, you're not really making money. That becomes a problem, because at a certain point you got to look at yourself and say, well, is this really a job now? It's not really making that much money. Back when COVID was around and everybody was at home, they couldn't leave the house, the channel kind of took off. That's an intentional pun. Tons of people were watching. I was making really good money with YouTube. In more recent times, and I'd say this has been going on for the past maybe year and a half, viewership is just declining. It's been a struggle. And with the decline in viewership, it becomes difficult to maintain. Declining viewership, that can be for many different reasons. You know, first and foremost, I feel like you may have seen this in videos, but I feel like I've not really been my full self, my full funny self. There's been a lot of videos where I've been watching back the edits and just, you know, I'm just, my demeanor is different. Yeah, it's just been a weird time as I've been trying to figure out what to do. Maybe that's part of the reason why, you know, people have kind of tuned out, because they've seen a difference there. Secondly, it could be because of the amount of sponsors that I've had to put in with the declining viewers and the declining revenue through YouTube. I've had to kind of put in more plugs and stuff like that, and that can certainly drive people away. You know, nobody likes watching an advertising plug. I'm not saying I'll stop it cold turkey, but it could be a contributing factor, and I do realize when I'm putting these sponsored reads in that people are not going to like it, especially an opinionated group of people like pilots. Like, come on. The other reason that really sticks out in my head as well is just the change in the type of content that people want to see. Unfortunately, for channels like myself that try and put out genuine content and truthful content, that's not really what sells these days. You see all these crash investigation channels that are just jumping on aviation tragedies basically and use it for their own benefit. I feel like that is pushed more by YouTube, and also clickbait things as well, putting stuff out there that's just not truthful. You know, if I was posting videos every week saying I've crashed my plane again this week, I'm putting a crazy thumbnail on there with a plane exploding behind me in my face like this. That's what YouTube decides that it wants to push rather than genuine content. And unfortunately, I just don't want to perpetuate that. I don't want to be that type of channel that is just clickbaity. Yes, I try to get creative with my titles. Yes, sometimes I try and get creative with my thumbnail because that's the algorithm. You know, that's unfortunately what I have to do to try and get views. But even that has not really been working. That's another reason that I think people have lost interest, because it's been on a cycle. How many times can you take a student out doing stalls and slow flight and steep turns and make that interesting? It's tough. All of this cluster is what's been going on behind the scenes at LewDix Aviation. Now, having said all this, I just want to put this out there that all of this that's happening here pales in comparison to other things that are going on in the world. Like, there are so many other things that are more important that are going on our planet than this, but this is what's been going on. So where does that leave us? Where does that leave me and you? Are we breaking up? Are we done? No, we're not, because I can tell you I'm not going to stop making videos. Okay, it's just that firstly, don't want to be a CFI anymore. I'm going to move on and I'm going to do something else. And secondly, YouTube, it's not a healthy way of living to rely on it for the rest of my life, and I need to do something to move my professional career forward. And I'm going to bring you along for the journey when I can. That's why we're not breaking up. You will still see videos here on LewDix Aviation. You're not going to see flight instruction content anymore. You might here and there, but for those of you that tune into the channel to see that, you have a whole nearly 10 years of flight training content to go back through. That's the update. Let's get back to having fun. And to be able to do that, I just need to find my moxie again.